Hey everybody, welcome back to Andrew McDonald English. This is lesson 13, and today we're going to be going over the conditional, more specifically the first and second conditional, the ones that are probably the most important and the most used. So, let's get into it. The first conditional is used for real and possible situations in the future, and it looks like this. If present simple, will, plus base verb. So let's look at a few examples. If it rains, I will stay home. If you study, you will pass the test. These are real and possible. If it rains, I will stay home. If you study, you will pass the test. See, just like in the model above, you have if at the start, then you have the present simple, it rains, or you study, followed by the will in all three, and then the base verb. In this case, the base verb is to stay home, and in this case, it's to pass the test. So, these are used for real and possible situations in the future. So, now that we have that, let's do a little bit of practice. Here we have 10 practice problems doing the first conditional. Now, the first conditional is actually quite easy. All you have to do is add will and then the verb there. So, if I see him, I will tell him the news. If we leave now, we will catch the bus. If she studies hard, she will pass the exam. If it doesn't rain, we will go to the park. If you eat too much, you will feel sick. If they arrive late, we will start without them. If I have time, I will help you. If the store is open, I will buy some milk. If he doesn't call, I will be upset. If we don't hurry, we will miss the train. So, without even pausing the video for you to do this independently, I already know you're able. This one is quite easy to form, quite easy to understand. If you blank, you will blank. Same verb, no change, just you will verb. Now, you may think there isn't a ton of, reason to learn this one. However, it is still important to understand the conditional in and of itself, also when learning the second conditional. So, let's move on. The second conditional is used for unreal or hypothetical situations in the present or future. So, unreal or hypothetical. This word hypothetical means like possible. Possible, hypothetical, it's almost as if you are dreaming, Hypothetical situation, it's something maybe, perhaps, And then this structure is a bit different as well. So, as before, you start with if. There's always if. Then you'll start with the past simple. If I won the lottery. Then you continue with would, the word would. And finally, the last bit here, the base verb. So, if, past simple, I won the lottery. Would, I would. And then the base verb, travel the world. Same here. If she studied more, she would get better grades. Not too bad. So let's look at some practice, and we'll do a few together. If I had a car, I would drive to work. It's just the same as the one above, however, it's with would. If it were sunny, we would go to the beach. If I knew his number, I would call him. If you were taller, you would play basketball. If she had more money, she would buy a new phone. If they lived closer, we would visit them more often. If he were here, he would know what to do. If I were you, I would apologize. If we had time, we would take a longer break. If you had studied harder, you would pass the test. So, very similar to the first conditional, however, instead of will, it's would. Why would? Because it's hypothetical. Maybe it'll happen. Will, yes. You will pass, yes. You would pass, maybe. If you had studied harder, maybe you would have passed, but we don't know. So, just for a little recap here, first conditional and second conditional. First conditional, you always use will. Second conditional, you always use would. And the first, the most important bit, is that it's true and possible. Period. Right? Whereas the second, it's hypothetical. So maybe. We don't know. So that concludes the first and second conditionals. Please subscribe to the channel, especially if you found these videos helpful. This sheet with all of the notes written down, as well as this sheet completely blank, are as always below in the description. And thank you so much for watching.